Mike McConville here again for StringTech Workstations. This is that Les Paul that came in for a compensated nut and a setup. I wanted to mention something for the benefit of Jesse out there in Winnipeg and Jody down in Reading, Pennsylvania, and Rico. These are the three latest guys in the last few weeks picked up their TechDeck Workstations. Because the Les Paul has the smallest waist in the industry, and as everybody knows, one of the most popular guitars ever made, we've made those small straps small enough so that where the overlap is for the Velcro, it's way back from the string path. So what that means is it allows you to kind of set up your Les Paul, do your intonation, tune it, and the straps do not mute the strings while you're doing that setup. Just wanted to kind of put that out there. Now on the other end, this strap sort of comes around the lower bout, and those two straps are pulling in opposing directions. So what that does is it immobilizes the body so it's not slipping and slopping around on you while you're working, and it pulls it down tight against the leather padded rails. And the neck on this one looks really good. I think it has been plecked. We'll find out when we get down to the final setup whether we need to do a light fret dress or not. This nut has been replaced once before, and I just wanted to point out that obviously there was a little chip out here. That's not my work. That was done previously. We did manage to get that nut out without disrupting that previous little chip that came out the last time the nut was changed. There's a little bit of fret wear in those first few frets, so we probably will do a light fret dress and buff this out. But got the compensated nut blank fitted. This guitar is going to get set up for an 11 to 49 string tuned down to E flat, and we'll compensate the bridge and the nut for that tuning and those strings. We have this Les Paul that we're just finishing up, just sort of buffing those frets out. This is set up for the 11 to 49 strings. The compensated nut is done. This is how I tighten up those tailpiece lugs so they're rock solid. I drop that insert into the bottom of the female insert, and then the actual lugs themselves, they tighten up against that other fastener that I... There's absolutely no movement on either of those tailpiece lugs. They are rock solid. And they've been adjusted, as I've said in other videos, just to make sure that the string clears the back of the casting and the bridge. When this one came in, it was a wrap over tailpiece, and you know something? I don't agree with it, and I know there's some people that kind of swear by it. This is why you have an adjustable tailpiece. Any of you guys that are kind of bound and determined to use that wrap over tailpiece, one word of caution for you. Take the original tailpiece, tuck it away somewhere safe, then buy a disposable tailpiece, because those strings will cut through that like a cheese cutter. So if you got a guitar that's really worth anything, you don't want to ruin your tailpiece by doing that wrap around or wrap over tailpiece, whatever you want to call it. But that's fine. If you want to do that, all I'm saying is don't do it with the original parts. Get a throwaway tailpiece that you can sacrifice and try. I advise against it, but if that floats your boat, knock yourself out. So I did recrown very lightly with ultra fine grit sandpaper. I'm just about to buff these frets out. So we buff these out to that final mirror shine. All the other work has been done. So we're definitely on the home stretch with this thing, and I'll strum a few chords on it, and you'll see exactly how precise the intonation can be, even on that short 24 and 5/8 inch scale. These frets have now been buffed out to that final sheen. Another note for my level 2 students, I have covered that inlay. This is actually plastic inlay in this one, so you got to be very careful with that buffer around that. Like I've mentioned in previous videos, even when you're buffing out the frets, be very careful around that plastic binding. So this is the setup I use to kind of pull the strings out of the way. I don't take them right off the guitar, kind of pull them out of the way. I fold that masking tape onto itself 2 or 3 times, and then use that to pull the strings back away from the fingerboard as I do all my dressing. Of course, I mask off the pickups as you've seen in all the other videos. That pretty well wraps it up for Rick's Les Paul. These are 11 to 49 strings tuned to E flat tuning, and the compensated nut is also intonated for those strings in that tuning. The bridge post machining is beautiful, very tight. I'm impressed. I don't really care one way or the other about the locking tuners, but the machining again is beautiful on these machine heads.